I'm here on behalf of Save Our Streams today, and I'm here tonight to talk about a family who lives in Duke Center, McKean County, Pennsylvania. The Thomases. When they look out their windows, they see abandoned wells, oil tanks. A large number of these wells are leaking oil and natural gas. There are puddles of oil, acres of contaminated soil, pump jacks, and abandoned wells, brine pits, plastic and metal pipelines, etc. Thomases recently discovered another abandoned well on their property, bringing the number of found wells up to 32. Some of the wells have had their wellheads removed and their entire related infrastructure removed. In areas where the vegetation is heavy, locating the wells have been very difficult. Sometimes there's a light sheen of oil going down the stream, and in times of rain and flood events, the sheen gets heavier. The situation recently took a turn for the worse when a large oil storage tank filled with oil failed, sending its contents downstream. Another well, one of the 32 that had not leaked in the past, started to drip oil the other day. 13 of the wells don't have API numbers. None of the 32 wells are identified on the DEP's online map, even after many reports to the DEP and officials. In addition to the DEP, Representative Martin Cowser, many individuals and officials from local on up to the governor's office, organizations including the McKean County Conservation District, the Fish and Boat Commission, the National Response Center, the EPA, and many others have been contacted about this. An administrative order was issued several months ago by the DEP to the administrator of the deceased operator's estate. It doesn't seem worth the paper it's printed on. None of the 19 wells that are identified in the order has made it to the DEP's online map either. Despite emails, phone calls, and many pleas for help, oil from these wells continue to enter the watershed many Pennsylvanians and New York citizens rely upon. Currently, operators are required to post bonds equal to only a small fraction of the actual cost of plugging. This increases the likelihood that improper well abandonment. Regulations which require operators to post bonds equal to the approximate cost of plugging their wells would immediately reduce these risks associated with improper well abandonment. Some operators have accrued large numbers of inactive wells. In some cases, this rate represents a great percentage of their well inventories. Limiting the number of inactive wells and also the percentage of inactive wells operators are permitted to accrue in their inventories by setting regulatory limits will minimize the risk of inheritance. These wells represent to surface owners, stakeholders, and more importantly, the Commonwealth. Requiring operators through regulations to plug orphan, abandoned, and inactive wells in their inventories before authorizing new permits to drill and operate wells will encourage operators to plug their depleted wells and would also provide much needed protection for the environment, surface owners, and other stakeholders. Allowing operators who have accrued large numbers of depleted inactive wells that may never be commercially viable to apply for Act 13 impact funds to be used to plug depleted wells would go a long way to addressing the risks while providing employment opportunities. Allowing surface owners to apply for Act 13 impact funds to be used to plug legacy wells on their property would enable citizens to take a proactive role in reducing contamination of the Commonwealth's greenhouse gas emissions. Conservation districts and other organizations that have refused to assist or have chosen not to respond to oil and gas-related contamination incidents should not be eligible to receive Act 13 impact funds. This would encourage conservation districts and other organizations to take a proactive role in remediating oil and gas-related impacts on the Commonwealth's natural resources. This was one of the intended uses of Act 13. The organizations that would use Act 13 funds for pet projects while turning their backs on their needed remediation is an insult to the spirit of Act 13. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.